Hey everyone, it's Chad here with P4P, Coach's Corner. Got another question that came in. I'm going to read it off to you here. My son is 13 years old and plays multiple sports, football, hockey, and soccer. To be honest, he is in the middle of the pack when it comes to his ability. Is there anything we could be focusing on to get him to be a top player? Any advice is appreciated. Thank you, Steve. Okay, Steve. So when it comes to sports and athlete's abilities, he's 13 years old, so he could mature as he ages and develop more strength, speed, things like that. But as far as sports go, I'm going to tell you what the number one factor is that really separates athletes out in the pack. And being a top player, a middle player, or even someone who rides the pine, sits the bench, right? So what we want to do is in strength and conditioning, we know that the number one factor for an athlete, a lot of people might think, strength is number one. That makes somebody a really good athlete, whether it's on the field or the ice or whatever, or maybe even power even. But the reality is the number one factor in sport is speed. If you're the fastest player on the ice or fastest player in the field, it really doesn't matter how strong you are to some extent, because you're going to go around the big strong dudes, and the goal of most sports is get to point A to point B with a ball or a puck, right? So what you want to do is have that speed developed so that stronger athlete, more powerful athlete can't even touch you. And you see it all the time in sport. You'll have smaller players like in collision sports like hockey and football go right around the big tough dudes like no problem, and they're some of the top players in the industry, and it's all because of speed development. So when it comes to sports as a whole, you are looking at speed as your primary factor for separating athletes out of the pack. Obviously strength, power, conditioning, all that stuff matters. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but speed's your number one factor. When you're separating, if like you got strength and stuff equaled out, and also age, you're going to see speed as always rise above the top as top players. So what we got to do is kind of talk about how do you go about that, okay? There's a lot of ways to go about it. I'm just going to give you one avenue here that I want to talk about. I can do another segment for you if you want on some other speed developing ideas. But the first thing you want to do is obviously get him into some sort of strength and conditioning programming, okay? The reason we want that is we definitely want his neural system firing like it should and learning these mechanics, so as he ages we can apply more load, and that's where we can produce more power, things like that. So that's totally different than going to the gym and working out with his buddies or just working on some kind of program he got out of the magazine. There is a difference when it comes to sports performance, okay? So you should be working with a professional, learning how to do this appropriately, and then also athletes train totally different than general population, okay? And at the same time, let's talk about speed now. So the first thing I want you to look at when it comes to speed is mechanics, okay? Most people don't know how to run properly, okay? They tend to run like they walk, and you see it all the time. We'll see it from beginners to like high schoolers or even collegiate athletes that just have not been taught how to run properly. Usually by the time they're pro, they've worked with a strength and conditioning professional, so they've got those mechanics down, okay? So what you want to do is break down mechanics of either running, skating, whatever he's doing, okay? Today I'm going to talk to you about running because skating is different, okay? And most people are going to relate to the running side. So when it comes to running, you want to break down your mechanics, because what happens is most people, like I said, are going to run like they walk. What happens when you do that, they're leading with their heel. When you lead with the heel, that's a braking force. So it's automatically going to slow you down, okay? So when you are running, you need to focus on not landing on the heel, but landing on ball of foot if you're sprinting, okay? Distance runners typically want to land mid-foot. But the biggest thing is your heel will slow you down, okay? If you look at the mechanics of it, it's actually braking you, okay? So what we want to do is propel you, okay? So when we run, especially sprinting, you want to land ball of foot. So that's mistake number one that's typically made. The other one is foot. So when he raises his foot up, a lot of athletes are plantar flexed, okay? Their toes are down, okay? You see that a lot. What we need is more dorsiflexion, okay? So when they are running and they raise their knee up, you need to have your toe up, okay? That allows us to land and load the calf appropriately, because what happens is if our calf is not landed appropriately, it doesn't act like a spring like it should, okay? Your calf acts like a spring, so we want it to propel you forward, not just sit there and be dead, okay? So toe up. Next step you're going to want to look at is probably the knee, okay? Their knee drive. When you're sprinting, they should be driving up to 90 degrees. So let me see if I can show you here real quick. So when an athlete runs, they should be here to here, okay? So when we do that, most athletes, their knee is barely coming up off the ground, okay? So we got to make sure it's getting up. That is providing more power to push with, and therefore speed goes up, okay? Just to put it simply. The last thing I'm going to kind of talk about really quick, obviously there's a lot of things that go on, but another quick thing to look at is going to be how their hands work, okay? So also known as arm swing. When we do this, you see a lot of athletes doing this kind of stuff, right? When they're running, going across the body, what's happening is if you watch, your power is going side to side. We want that power going straight ahead, okay? So a lot of athletes are doing that and they're losing that power output, especially if you're skating or something. What happens is you think about it, power is going this way, power is going this way. We want it to go straight, okay? So biggest thing, correct your arm mechanics. They can go to midline if they want, but we do not want to cross midline, okay? Last tip is going to be elbow, okay? So a lot of times when athletes run, see if I can show you here, they break the elbow, okay? They're here and they break the elbow, okay? What we want to do, keep it at 90, here to here. This is power, okay? That is going to propel more efficiently and get that power going forward, okay? So too many athletes are here, if they even get here, and then they're here, okay? So a lot of athletes do this, right? High and tight, high and tight. You need to open that chest up, okay? Get that power moving. This is gonna help keep you straight and keep you propelled, okay? So those are some quick tips when it comes to speed. So number one factor in sport, obviously you have your special positions that it might not apply to, but it's athletes as a whole, speed is your number one factor. So athletes need to focus on that as well as strength conditioning, obviously, okay? So I hope that helped you. Keep the questions coming, guys. All good questions so far. So right now, go to p4pmuscle.com, go to the contact us, put your question down, and I'll be more than happy to answer it for you. Until then, we'll see you soon.